Hi guys, I'm Nika, and today we are lucky enough to have Sook and Lee here to talk to us about Paying for It. I'm really excited to chat with you. It's a upcoming film at TIFF. It's premiering, and you guys should go watch it, but let's talk about it.
Yep, I've been working on Paying for It. As a movie, it's an adaptation of my best friend Chester Brown's graphic novel. It came out in 2011, and it was about his experiences as John, a dude in Toronto at the turn of the century, the millennium, and his decision to pay for sex. And then it documents kind of like what that experience was like for him, meeting the workers, what he came to know, and really. The graphic novel is a polemic for the decriminalization of consensual sex work. Chester is a person who is guided by a sense of fairness and having seen sex workers and they're not granted any decent labor rights or human rights. And so he wrote this book as a sort of reflection and a memoir of his experiences, but also to shine a light on the injustices in terms of how sex workers are marginalized and not afforded human rights in our society. I asked Chester if I could adapt it, and he trusted me with the material, and it was pretty darn challenging. At first I thought I could just make a movie and, look at his incredible graphic novel, and I'm like, I'll just shoot it like this.
Yeah, I'll just show exactly what happens
it's
there.
Like sequential images, done.
Yeah, done.
It was very episodic. It was specifically from his point of view. He was careful to keep the confidence and privacy of the sex workers. And I'm a character in the movie.
Yeah.
And his friends as well. And he didn't really illuminate much of our lives. But so I found it really difficult to adapt.
Yeah.
Because I wanted the political themes that he was exploring are key, but I also wanted to make kind of a movie that you could just sort of fall into and watch. Yeah. I was like, oh, wait a second. The secret to unlocking how I can make this into the movie is to sort of widen the canvas and incorporate what was happening in our lives at the time. Because what precipitated his book was we were a couple, and I moved from Vancouver to Toronto when I got the job at Much Music as a VJ. Yeah. And our lives kind of went in really different directions. He's really bookish and introverted and shy and academic, and I was going out to concerts and like having to speak with people on air and stuff like that. So our interests were kind of going like that, and also like most relationships, the romantic aspects of our relationship was fading away. Yeah. And so I asked him, okay, this is what's going on with me. What do you think if we open up our relationship? And him being sort of an open-minded person was like, if that's what you want to do, let's consider this. And so once we had that agreement, I kind of started developing crushes and going out on dates. He was celibate for a real long time. And then when he needed to have sex, finally he began to entertain the notion of paying for sex. And so that precipitated that. And so it was only in the sort of encompassing that which was absent from his graphic novel, our life together in this tiny row house. Yeah.
Which did you not shoot in the house?
We did, yes.
That was such a cool detail. I thought it was so...
Yeah, the movie's shot in my home where the real life events unfolded. Chester eventually moved to the basement had his workspace there. And that's where we shot his space as well, which is, you have to be smaller than 5'8" in order to fit in there.
Is he smaller than 5'8"?
I mean, I think 5'9".
Okay, he can clear it on a good day.
He can stand up straight.
Okay.
But for some people, they couldn't stand up straight. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to shoot in there, but I went with my production designer, Olivia D'Oliveira, and they were like, yeah, we can make this happen. And literally was like...
Yeah, no, when you're shooting those like tight Toronto apartments, it becomes such a game of like, how many people can we get in here before it gets ridiculous? And I was really interested in like the way community had to come together for this process. Like, it seems like a really community-oriented film.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about the spaces you shot in and the people you worked with and the artists, and I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah. So, I worked. One of my major experiences as a filmmaker and actor is my relationship with John Cameron Mitchell. I made 2 movies with him, Hedwig and the Angry Inch and Short Bus. And John I've learned a lot from John around reciprocity and respect on the set. And there are no hierarchies on Short Bus, which is also an explicitly sexual movie. There's a lot of crap in the industry where it reinforces inequities, and certain people get better meals and certain people get shit meals. Some people get a nice bed, some people have to sit in the corner in a cold warehouse. That's not the kind of way that we wish to make movies. So yeah, the idea of process is, I want to make a good movie always.
Yes.
My job as a director is to serve the story, and I wish to make a good work. But attached to that is the notion of being, just making sure that there's a good vibe on set and bringing together like-minded people and being effective. I wanted to illuminate a kind of the raw and kind of indie world that I know of Toronto at the turn of the century. And that meant finding in the city those spaces. So my house was a natural space. It's pretty much the essence of the place, and it's like a lot of it's already art directed. It was really cool. It was like, if we needed a prop, it would be just like, oh, here it is.
Yeah, let's go get it.
Done. And then also my friends, Daniel Vila, who runs Market Video, Daniel Lee and Lucas Chung, who are amazing musicians. Lucas is in Mother Tongues. They're friends of mine up on Spadina. And whenever I saw their place, I was like, this looks like the brothel that Anne and Amanda would be sharing. And so I said, can we shoot at your place? And they're like, of course.
And I wanted to ask you about specifically when you were working with actors to essentially play you, right? A version of you and a version of Chester. I'm curious about how that casting process is, even just how it feels personally to direct somebody almost to like mirror yourself, and like what the introspection on that is like, how you coordinate like where to let them take the action of their, like how to let them take their own role with it versus where to give feedback.
Well, being a director is a multifaceted role, and each actor requires different things.
Yes.
So there's some actors who I'll just go, by the way, and they'll go, yeah, got it. And they don't want anything. And then they do it, and they're like, boom, got it. Okay, move on. And there's some people who really want to process stuff. Specifically with this movie, I mean, I've been working within the realm of autofiction for a very long time. There's something about real life. As a broadcaster, I do a lot of documentaries, and I plant myself on street corners and ask strangers if they'll open up to me. And I've done this hundreds and thousands of hours of this over the years, and just been always so humbled. And life is incredible. You can't confabulate the incredible qualities of life. You can't dream that stuff up. I mean, maybe some people can dream it. I can't dream it up, but I'm also really inspired by it. With paying for it, again, there was distance for me, enough time, some wisdom. I don't even know if I'm wise, but some time had passed. I'm pretty smart for a dumb person, but I kind of like, I knew that I needed to draw from my life in order to make the adaptation work. And I called her Sonny. I call him Chester because I support and try to honor the Chester that Chester depicts himself in the memoir. And then I go a step further by illuminating our lives and also illuminating the lives of the sex workers. He was pretty anonymizing in his graphic novel without showing any part of their private lives. So I think with this, talking about her as Sunny instead of Sook helped me to have one step removed, and also just kind of work with Emily. Emily is a really great actor. She's different from me in that she's much more grounded, and kind of her tempo is a bit slower than I am. I'm a hothead, and it was really a combination of the two of us. And I would send her a bunch of stuff, essays, films that I wrote, tell her about some of my family life. Like we're both Asian Canadian, and I come from a particularly volatile and mental health issues were really huge in my family. And I think coming from that difficult space in my early life really informs a lot of my art and specifically the choices that Sonny makes in trying to grasp at love. Working with Emily, there was never a danger of getting mired into the difficult life events. It was more like, okay, and this and this and this, and she's like, what about this? So it was really, really such a pleasure.
I really appreciate hearing about your story, and like the film is clearly such an intimate retelling, and like especially as an adaptation. I'm curious as well about the graphic novel came out 10 years ago, and now as a result you have this adaptation that's more your perspective melding with Chester's
in a different
perspective.
time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so how has the journey been to go from like seeing, I guess, his perspective in graphic novel form to bringing your touch and your taste to it? Like, how did you guys collaborate on that? I know you guys are close. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about how that relationship came into this project.
Yeah, I mean, Chester's very different for me. He's extremely autonomous. He will sit down and do a work and never ask for any input or, any ideas. The most he will do is like ask people to read it for spelling mistakes because he's not a great speller. And other than that, he's really just his own person. He was not interested in making a movie, though he trusted me and granted me the right to adapt it. And so, I would use him as a sounding board. I wanted to make sure that his perspective was sensitively rendered, as well as I consulted with various sex workers to make sure that those aspects were at least in the pocket. I mean, we're just scratching the surface. There's myriad dimensions of sex work and perspectives that go untapped in this movie because I'm specifically going from Chester's perspective. Really, he kind of let me do what I needed to do.
Honestly, there's so much more I feel like we could talk about and break down, and a lot of it is like this movie is a good jumping off point to open that conversation.
It totally is. And I'm here talking about the politic, which is important, but really my interest lies on the micro relationship and how we take care of one another, take care of ourselves, or when we don't take care of each other, like when we open up and when we close. And there's always good reason for both, but I'm interested in love and I'm interested in dynamics between people. And really that story of relationships is what is at the forefront of this movie.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. I've loved hearing your words. Truly, it's been such a good conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. And yeah, we're going to talk to a few more people from your crew and your cast, but that was beautiful. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.